Hello guys, Gennady here. Welcome back to ABPKitDev series. In previous episode, we have added a reusable test function that will test any protocol that has a function with a completion handler. And we have seen that this is very useful in helping us moving fast with writing unit tests. And usually we want to have something like this, to not lose a lot of time with developing the tests and so on. After all, we want to write the production code, not the tests necessarily themselves. So today we will continue adding yet another tool in our arsenal to help us moving fast with tests. And more specifically, we will take a look in how can we create a test template that will help us getting or to start very fast writing the test. Because at the end of the day, we have seen that we have some boilerplate code that gets repeated again and again when we write the tests. But this boilerplate is not generic and like applied to any project. It is very specific to your project and maybe even your team based on how you write the tests and I know based on what is your overall strategy in writing unit tests. So, in big terms, today we will take a look on how we can create a testing template, which will be pre-populated with all of the boilerplate code that we need specifically for ABPKit dev. And after we will identify what we need, we will take a journey in looking into how we can create such a template. Just to say, I have like very little, almost close to no experience with creating a template in Xcode, but this video will be more about exploring how can we learn quickly from what we have in Xcode to create a template. So it will be more even of exploratory stuff to see how we can write or create a template for such purposes. So it kind of will not be something like a tutorial, this is how you should do it, but more of seeing how we can achieve what we want, with minimal knowledge that we have. So that being said, we will not take a look at the whole spectrum of configurations that have or you're able to do with template, but rather the minimal stuff that can help us with creating a template. So let's get started and see first what is the usual boilerplate code that we have when we want to create a test file. And let's start by showcasing implementing the test case file for a new feature that we will implement in the future episodes. And up until right now, we have developed the bundle filter list loader, but we will want to get started with implementing a more complex logic for remote loading. So like, let's create this test file. Let's go just with the Swift file, plain simply, and let's call it remote filter list loader tests, something like this. Okay, so let's see what we usually need to get going fast with writing the test. So we will usually create a class which is named by the name file. We will inherit from XCTest case, and in this case we need to import XCTest, of course, so we kind of have it going already. Next, we usually in our all of the test function we create a make SUT function which creates for us the instance under testing, and this is not mandatory for all the tests, but in our ABPKit dev series we do that. So let's create this function and let's put it under helpers mark. So we will need a private function to create our SUT. Okay, and here we need to return something, and like if you have the remote field list loader test, then it will be kind of a test over remote filter list loader. So let's put it here. And even for this, we will need to have a component that we actually want to test. And at this moment, all of our tests are written with the idea of creating a new component, not to test an existing component. So most of the times, we will create this component inside the test file. So we will have something like this, the class that we want to test. So we have it already in place. And then let's create our SUT. We will instantiate the class and return the SUT. We don't have the inline return, like a return here remote filter list loader, because most probably we'll have some collaborators and this will be transformed to a tuple, which will return also the collaborators. Much of the same way we have for filter list loader test, as here we have our SUT and then two mocks, which are collaborators in this case to help us developing the test. So yes, most probably we'll have here other collaborators and we will return it there. So up until right now, we have the class that will be under test, the test class itself, then make a SUT function which create the SUT for us. Next step would be to create a test function, like initial test function, something like this, and to create a SUT, make a SUT, and then whatever, we should add the test code. And like this is the initial function that we will create and we will get started very fast. Also, we already we already have developed our domain, and in most cases we will want to import ABPKit project to work with. Like here, remote filter list loader will most probably confirm to a protocol from the domain. So we will need to access our ABPKitDev. So what we can do is that we can already pre-import our production project, so we can straight away get started to implement. So we kind of have this this boilerplate. And this is kind of pretty much it. This is the boilerplate code that right now we have identified in our project. Of course, in your own project, there might be more boilerplate code, less boilerplate code. Maybe even you don't need a template or something like this. But if you have some boilerplate that gets repeated again and again when you want to create a new file, maybe you should optimize this with a template. After all, this is a good tool provided by Xcode. Why not use it? Okay, so maybe one thing maybe to mention also is that you see here we have remote filter list loader test file, but after all, like we want to write the test for remote filter list loader. So it will be nice, like when we want to create a test file, just specify the name of the component that we want to create and test, just specify it, and then our template will automatically create the test class with the correct name and the file with the correct name. Like this would be a nice bonus or something like this. So yeah, this is kind of it, what boilerplate code we have in our case. So let's see what are the templates provided by Xcode and how can we use those. So let's take a look. We already have seen the template for the simple Swift file, that it creates the simple Swift file, and then like we have only our file header and import foundation or something like this. So it's not a very useful template, you might say. It kind of automates the creating of a Swift file, something like this. You don't have to write the extension and so on. Maybe we will want to take a look of somewhat of a more complex template and see what is the boilerplate code here. And we can take a look at unit test case class, because in some way we'll want something like this. It will be a unit test case class for our specific purpose. So let's see. When we want to create, here you can see that we have a menu, somewhat, we can say, where we specify the class, the subclass. Maybe there is not much reason to have a different subclass for XCTest case, but maybe for some particular use case there is. And then the language like Swift or Objective-C. In our case, we care only about Swift. And as you can see, this is somewhat of a more complex configuration for the template. So we might use something like this for us to create a more complex template. So let's create a sample test and see what boilerplate code is written there. So let's create like unit test case class. Let's proceed further. Yeah, and then we are asked to save this file. Let's save it and let's see the boilerplate code. As you can see here that this file already imports XCTest and it's kind of good already for us because we will want something like this to import XCTest. Also, it pre-creates for us the test case file class, I'm sorry, and also inherits from XCTest case. So again, this is also what we want, and there are some pre-populated methods, so some boilerplate code for our test. And of course, for our purpose, we don't need something like this, and like we will need somewhat of this as a starting point. So you can say that we might use the unit test case template straight away. Yes, and that's kind of good. But as you can see, we should remove some boilerplate code again and again, and it might be kind of tedious, to remove the same lines of code again and again as you write those. So as you can see, unit test case template is kind of a good place to get started with and see how we can configure our own templates. So let's take a look how this template is represented in terms of the configuration, basically in the templates folder of the Xcode. Right now we have seen the UI in the Xcode and what is the result of the template, but we will want to take a look of how it's configured so we can make use of it for our own template. So let's take a look in how the file is configured. To see how this file is configured, we will have to locate first where is this template file. So let's dig into Xcode contents and see where is this file actually located. So in order to start our search, so we will have to take a look into the Xcode content and search for the template files where those are located, and then locate the unit test case class and investigate its content. So we will have to take a look into the Xcode package contents. As you can see, I'm inside the Xcode application contents, and then we select the contents folder to see what it contains. Then we select developer, and then library, and Xcode, and here we have the templates folder. We can select it, and in our case it's file templates. Good enough, we have file templates, and we will want to locate where is our unit test case class. One thing will be to look into source, and let's see if we have those here, like for package test class. No, we don't have, and here we don't have, and it seems that in source we have right now only the package files, and I will want to mention that right now I'm in Xcode 12, and I kind of believe that in previous versions here the source folder looked different, like here would be all of the templates, but it seems that it's not the case for Xcode 12. So I'm kind of guessing that it can be in the multi-platform folder, because like unit test case class can be shared across multiple platforms. Let's check it, and here we can see that we have the source folder. Let's go into it, and we will need to see our unit test case class, and let's see if we have it there. I'm not sure about this, but let's see. Here we have the Swift file sources. Nope, we don't have it here, and I'm kind of starting to doubt that it's here at all. Nope, we don't have it here, so I guess we should move back and see in macOS folder. Maybe it's there. Okay, so here it is, unit test case file. It's interesting that it's in macOS folder, not in shared folder. For some reason, it's specific for macOS. If you know why, please specify in the comments, and let's see why is this template under macOS, not multi-platform, because I don't see why we can't use it for iOS. But yeah, whatever. So as you can see here, we have the icons for our template, and for our case, when we want to create our own template, we kind of don't care about it. Then we have the template info and two folders, and one is for Swift and one is for Objective-C. Let's take a look at the Swift file, and here we have the file base name Swift. Let's open it and take a look at it and see. So as you can see, this is the file that specifies the structure of a template. We have the file header, import XCTest, as you have seen in the Xcode, and here we have the file base name identifier. I will guess that this is the name of the file that we store on the disk, and then it's used as the name of the class. Then the test subclass as a variable, and we have seen that we can select what is the superclass for the test class, and that's why this is a variable test subclass and it's not straight away XCTest case written here, but it's a variable. So we kind of make use of it, or maybe see how this variable works. And actually, maybe we can take a look at the template file and see from where this variable test subclass came. Okay, so we have investigated the file base name Swift, and as I see, like this file base name .swift is used to have the content of the boilerplate code. So we will make a use of it to write our own boilerplate code. And now let's take a look at the template info. Okay, and as you can see, we have here some general information. Maybe we can say it's meta info or something like this, like description, summary, sort order. And then we have buildable type here, like as a test. And I'm guessing that maybe if there is the test type, then it will be automatically linked to the test target. If this is missing, then maybe it will be put in the production target, but not sure. We should see. Then we have platforms. Here we have on macOS. So this template, interesting, like this template is specific for macOS. Okay. And then we have options. Let's take a look and see what this is about. So we have the product name, class. Then we have the XCTest case as default and the subclass. And then we have other the language. Okay. So as you can see, like those options map one-on-one with the UI that we have had in Xcode. Actually, let's take one more look at it. Here is the Xcode. And let's create a new file and let's take again a look. So we have here the class, the subclass, and the language. So in our template, it will be here the class, subclass, and the language of the choose language. So those options seem to be translated to the UI in the Xcode, and then we can add the components, and then we can refer to them in maybe in the file base name Swift used for containing the boilerplate code. As you have seen here with identifier, the test subclass, this identifies the subclass that we have chosen, and if we take a look again at the file, we have the variable test subclass that we have been is written here. So as you can see that if we have the variable and then the name of the variable, we can refer to this variable in for our own usage. So maybe this is something that we can make use of. You know, maybe if we have the name file and we have our class here on top, and we will write the name of the class with variable, maybe something like this. It seems kind of promising. We should see. Okay, so we kind of have seen where the templates, where the Apple templates are located. It's in Xcode package content. How the boilerplate file, so to say, is written and what it contains, and what is the template info list, and we have seen that it is used to configure the UI in Xcode and help us basically entering our options. So next step will be how can we create our own template and configure it and actually have it shown in Xcode. So let's take a look at this. If we take a look at where our Apple templates are stored, and we can see that those are here in file templates, project templates. If we move a little bit back, we've seen that it's in Xcode, then templates, file templates, and whatever. And the initial thing that might come to our mind is to create our own templates also here, like maybe even in macOS source, something like this, and like to create a new folder. But as you can see here, we need also the permissions to change the applications and the Xcode application itself, and so on. And then where we will want to update our templates and so on, and something like this, we will need also to override the permissions. So it kind of seems not the best place where we'll want to create our own templates. It seems rather a little bit hacky, but still we can do some stuff and write our own templates here. But it happens that we don't have to force this and have those templates created in the Xcode application content itself. Rather, we can write it place it in another place. Xcode will pick it up. So let's take a look. Let's move to Xcode locations. Here, where is derived data? Here, locations, and here in derived data. Let's go to this folder, and here we have our Xcode content, derived data, logs, user data, and so on. And we can create here a folder called templates, our own templates. And then we have this folder. Next, we'll want to put our own templates here in the templates folder. But first thing is actually interesting to check the folder structure in Apple format, let's say. So we'll have here the templates, then we have the file templates, and then we have a folder macOS and then source, and something like those are used to group the templates. But first, let's just copy a unit test case class and put it in our templates and see that it's shown in Xcode. So let's move back to our newly created templates folder, move back to it and create our own unit test case template, and let's actually rename it and call it maybe ABPKit test case, something like this. This is our own. So again, let's try and create our template file and see if it's shown in option menu in Xcode. So we have here the sources, user interface, core data, and we should move back, and we see here in our templates folder we have our ABPKit test case. So we have seen that it picked up the template, and the name of the group is actually templates, like in the folder in which it's contained. And as you can see, it will be much better to have these files somewhere here up top, not here down. Like we will have to scroll to locate it and so on. And maybe we can do a trick for this. Like I'm thinking of what if we have a source folder and maybe those are grouped together. Because as you can see here, for macOS, we have the group macOS and we have the source, and those only three are here. But if you move back, let's say to multi-platform, source, there are also multiple. And it kind of seems that those are grouped together. As you can see here, there are more than just 4 files that are on macOS. I believe on macOS only those 4 are placed, and then from multi-platform, last ones. So it seems that if we will write in our templates or we'll add the source folder and we put our own template, then we should be able to see our template here rather than here. So yeah, let's try and see. Let's create our source folder, something like this, and we will want to move our template into source folder. Come on. It doesn't want to get moved. Just like this, and we have it moved here. Let's move back and see. Yes, we have it in source folder. Good. Then we should move back to Xcode and see it showing here. So perfect. We have it in source folder. Here we have our own test case. Let's let's go a little bit through it and see that it works. ABPKit test case. Let's create it. And we have it in place. So we kinda almost have our own template, but we don't have any boilerplate code written here, very useful for us. So let's try and do that. Just write some boilerplate code and see it populated. And we will need maybe something like this, like let's just bring this hard-coded remote filter list loader and then refactor it to be more generic. Yeah, we can apply also our usual code stuff when creating template. Okay, so let's move into our template. Here we have the template. We have also the Objective-C. We kind of don't care about it. Let's open this file. And what we will want to do? Well, remove everything from here and put our template code there. And let's try and run it again. Maybe we should remove this and create it again. So ABPKit test case, and let's see if it get populated with what we want. So as you can see here, we have all of our boilerplate code that we have created here pre-populated. So what we will want to do, first thing or next thing, is to simplify the UI for when we create our file, because we don't need the subclass, because for us will be XCTest case for sure, then the language also, maybe only the class name. So let's refactor this step by step. Basically we'll be removing some stuff and maybe also adding some stuff. So let's open template info property list, and here from options, like we don't need this language option and we should remove it, and we don't need a subclass and we should remove it, and we will end up only with the product name. So far so good, and yeah, that should be good. And then we should remove XCTest case for Objective-C because we don't need it, and yep, we should be good. Let's try and see how it will look like now. And we have just the class, and let's create it again and see that it's working. Yes, almost working. We see that we have also this folder created because we have also the folder here. As you can see that we have here XCTest case Swift, and if we had previously Objective-C, the template would know to choose between the two, but as we have only one right now, maybe we can move it just one level above and remove this, and let's try again. We should delete this folder, we no more need it. Yes, move it to trash please, and let's create again. So ABPKit test version 2, and let's see that it's created as it should. Yes, that's right, we have it created correctly. That's nice. Okay, so we have removed Objective-C component. We simplified our interface. Next, we will want here in this file to make it more generic. And XCTest case here is good, remote filter list loader here is not good, and remote filter list loader test is not good because it's specific to our remote filter list loader. So what we can do next step, where we have here the product name as the class, and maybe we can make use of it. And yeah, let's take a look on how we can use it to have a generic name. So we have seen that we had here filter list or file base name identifier, something like this. Maybe we can make use of it. Let's move back to our templates. Let me see if I have it and actually copy it from there, because I forgot already how it looks like. Okay, and here in this file we have this file base name identifier. Let's copy it right now and then see how it will look like. Okay, let's minimize this actually. Okay, let's make it smaller and have it for us to make use of it. So let's use it and put it here, and let's see if it's working right now. Okay, let's move back to Xcode. Let's remove this test number 2 and create yet another one. So ABPKit test 2, and let's see if it's created correctly. Yes, we have here the name, and here also it's added. So it's kind of good, but we will want also to have the name here. And maybe what we will want is to have, when we create the test case, maybe we will want to create it something like this, like filter list loader, you know, and then this will be picked up and the new component will be named with this name, and then we have the file with remote filter list loader plus tests, something like this. So maybe we can change it, and yeah, let's see first. Can we use it here and here? Basically, I would think that it will work just like this. And here, maybe we will want to have, I know, like append tests or something like this. Like here we have variable tests. Maybe we can have here, not sure about this. Maybe we can have here like tests. We should see if it will work. I'm not sure about this. Let's create yet a new test, and let's see how it will look like. So we will want, let's actually create remote filter list loader, something like this we will want, and let's see what did we do. Okay, so this worked, this worked, this worked, but this didn't work. And I'm not sure if what we want here to do works with file base name identifier. Maybe we should make use of variable in the same way we have here. Maybe it will work. Let's yeah, let's try with variable and see how it will work. We have here the variable, here the variable, here also the variable. Let's leave it back as it was, and in our case the variable is product name, so here we should have product name. So I'm seeing this identifier, this is the variable name, so we can make use of variable product name. So yeah, I hope this should work. Let's try and do yet another test. Maybe we can remove this and create another test. Let's name it remote filter list loader, and I'm hoping to see the correct one implementation. Yes, so we can use the variable here directly. Good. So then what we will want is to append right next to the variable also the tests. So let's check if we can do that. Can we have here like product name and then tests, something like this? Maybe actually we could have been using file base identifier with tests. Let's actually try it, and here tests. Will it work? Not very sure. Let's see. I guess this could have been the option initially and not use the variable, but let's try and see. Let's create again a remote filter list loader, and let's see if it will be named correctly. Yes, and we see that we have here the test file, and then after all, I don't think we even need the variable. Like maybe we can use the file base name identifier straight away as we have had Yes, it seems that we can do that directly. Let's change it. So this is how we have it right now, and it's working. But we need yet one more thing to do, because we have here remote filter list loader and we have here the name remote filter list loader, but we'll want to have here remote filter list loader tests here. Maybe we can do the same trick as we have did in the file. What if you have here file base name and we will want to add also the tests? But if you take a look here as the main file, do we have a reference for the main file? What is the name of the file? I don't see here any. Let's try and let's give it a try and see if it will work. Basically, we need something like this, like the name of the file and then tests. Something like this. Let's see. Okay, so this is the file. This is how it looks. And let's try in Xcode again and create it. I'm not sure if this will work. Let's give it a try. Okay, so remote filter list loader. Next, let's create it. And it didn't work. We don't have the file here added. And yes, it doesn't seem to work that way. And okay, let's take a look if we have some example in Xcode that might be helpful for us. And I kind of thinking of, Objective-C extensions, because you write the name of the extension, then it will automatically create or name the file with extensions. So let's see. I'm not sure about that, but let's take a look. Do we have here Objective-C extension? Yes, extension object. And here, as we can see, the name of the file is actually plus extension identifier plus variable something. Okay, so I guess we should make use of variable in the name of the file. Okay, so this is interesting. Let's give it a try and name this somewhat as a let's actually copy this because I'm not sure about the format of it. So we should have here variable product name, and then tests, something like this, because we have here the variable name being as a product name. Okay, so we have it something like this. Okay, let's give it a try. Not sure about this. Let's create again remote filter list loader, and let's see if it will work actually. Okay, create it, and here we have it. We have it created here. For some reason it was not added in the dev test target, but nevertheless we have the remote filter list loader tests name, and here we have test name, but here we have tests. Not very good, and here also not very good. And then I guess that after all we should have here in the file not product name identifier but variable, because it picks the name of the file tests and then it adds again tests for us. So then I think like file base name identifier will be replaced by what is the name of this file saved. So, and we don't want that, but rather we want this, we want this, we want this, and we want this. And now I think we should be good. Let's take a look. Let's remove this and try again. So a lot of trial and errors. As I've said, I have little knowledge about templates, and like now I'm exploring what I can achieve with the minimal knowledge that I have. So remote filter list loader, and let's create it. We have it in ABPKitDev tests. Let's create the file. Yeah, it seems that it did it work. I'm not sure about that because I already have the file. Let's remove those again, and let's create it again. Remote filter list loader. Yes. Next, in ABPKitDev test, correct. And here we have the file. Yay, it's created. We have the remote filter list loader test, remote filter list loader name, then test here is correct, and here it is also correct. So awesome, we don't need to take a look at this, and yeah, it seems that we have achieved what we wanted with very little knowledge, mostly taking a look on what we have in Xcode and reusing it. So let's take a look on what we have did and summarize it in a way. So we have seen how can we create our own template to get rid of writing a boilerplate code again and again, and mostly we have made use of unit test case template already in place, and we have tweaked it to help us in creating our own template. And we have seen how can we use the variable product name. I've learned a new thing to create template classes, and also like even here, like as you can see, we can instantiate the class directly with the name of the variable. So it's kinda magic, I would say. But yeah, it looks nice. In terms of the template info, we didn't look at it very much what it does. We only took a look on what is important for us, and it's working for us. For the moment, it's not very valuable to dig deeper in the templates. If you want to create more and more and more templates, then yeah, maybe you should take a look, have a more deeper look on how it works and how you should what are the options to configure the stuff. But right now it looks good for our test case in ABPKitDev. So this is the final file for our template boilerplate code. Let's say we have identified initially what is the boilerplate code, and then we have added it here. So from now on, we can make use of this boilerplate code, and we should get started very fast with writing our unit test. As I showcase here for our next component, remote filter list loader, we just write remote filter list loader, and all of this will be created for us, so we can get started straight away with writing unit test. So yeah, this is it for this episode. It was more of exploratory video, not necessarily me explaining how to do stuff, but actually you have seen how I went through what we have and trying to reason on how I can reuse this stuff and to help me get going with what I want to do. So this is usual thing that like you can do to get going with what you have to do. If you don't know like how to achieve this stuff, take a look on what is already here in place and then tweak it and something like this to be good for your current scenario. Like if you want to create here a template, as you can see, we don't necessarily need to get 100% grasp to know all of the ins and outs of templates to get going. As you can see, with kind of minimal knowledge and time invested, we have created a reusable template for us. So this is it. Thank you for staying to the end of this episode. See you next time. Bye bye.